Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Elizabeth and I'm a kindergarten teacher here in California. And this video is all about this awesome rainbow table that I am sitting in the middle of. I call it a rainbow table because there are basically these like dots that are around it that are whiteboard dots. And I use this table every day, probably 2 hours a day with students or with projects, and it has been one of the best investments that my school has made for this classroom, in my opinion. I mean, other than curriculum obviously, but as far as the tools and the furniture in the classroom, this is my favorite piece of furniture because it lets me have like 7 students at a small group and be able to address all of their needs within just like an arm's reach. It is wonderful. So I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I've put on it to customize it, and then how I use this table in my classroom. So we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of duck down like this just so that you can kind of see the dots while I talk about them. So these are whiteboard dots, and I got them off of Amazon. I will link them down below for you if you're interested. But basically, the students can use a whiteboard marker and an eraser and write on them during small group time. So I use this all the time. The thing that I'm using it most for right now is math and language. I use this a lot during reading groups when we do word work, and the students love it. I had one student today, he was like, I had no idea you could write on the circles on the table. I thought they were just there to look pretty. I'm like, no, they're a tool for you, buddy. And so he was so excited. So anyways, I'm gonna change positions here so that I can talk more comfortably, but I just wanted to show you what these dots were and so you can get a visual of them on the table. Okay, I think if I sit back like this, I'm kind of crouched down, but you can still kind of see. So basically, I'll call students over in small group, and I typically do small group work when it's our free choice station time in the afternoon. A lot of times the students are kind of wound down. They've had kind of a full day. They don't have as much energy, and whenever they have free choice, I always feel like it just gives them, I don't know, maybe it's just my experience, but I feel like it just gives them, it's kind of a chill time for them, so they can kind of go in the classroom where they want to, play with the activities and toys that we have here in class. And then for students, I take about between 4 to 6 students per small group, and I'll do work with them. So this table is wonderful because literally I can be right here and be accessible to each of my students. And one thing that this is new, obviously this year. I did not have a small group table, but that was like on my wish list for last year. And the space that I had last year just didn't accommodate. We are kind of tight here in the classroom with it, but we make it work. And I do have an idea for next year. I think I'm going to move one thing in my classroom into our library, and I think that'll free up some space here too. It's tight, but it totally works. So one thing that we're working on right now, so it's January, and one thing we're working on right now is blending our sounds together to make words. I do have some independent readers, independent writers, like on a very basic level, probably on like a level 1, but sight words are minimal, vocabulary is minimal. So students are just basically learning how to blend. So one of my favorite things to do right now with the students is to basically take one of our blend books or vocabulary words, and they're all CVC words, consonant, vowel, consonant words. So like a word cat, or the word dog, or the word man, or wig. 3-letter words with 1 vowel in the middle that don't have any special sounds or anything like that. It's just all short vowels and consonant sounds. And I basically will just read them a word, and then we sing this song, and it's by Jack Hartman, and it's called Stretchy the Word Snake. I'll link it down below because it's one of my favorite songs to sing, because it really, once you teach the students a song and they know it, then you can take them to the small group like this and apply it to what you're learning, what you're trying to teach them. So I'll sing the song, Stretchy the word snake goes this and that way, and then it goes da 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 da. He loves stretching words. He'll take a word like cat and he'll stretch it, and I have them do I have them move their hands like this, and he'll stretch it just like this. At. So typically we're going like this. Cat, cat, cat. So then what I do in a small group setting during our word work time, I will basically give them a marker and an eraser, and then we'll sing our song, and I'll say, He takes a word like dog and he stretches, stretches, just like this. And then they sing it, dog. So it's just a reading strategy basically that you're trying to teach your students. And then when they segment the sounds like that and they use that song to segment the word like that, it helps them hear each individual sound. So dog. So then they can basically write the word out on the dots here. And so the other thing that it does is when I'm sitting here and we're singing this song, they're segmenting the sounds, they're writing the word, I'm also able to correct their writing. So a lot of times the students are just learning their letters, you know, they're learning capital and lowercase, but if they write the word cat, C-A-T, but they put, like, for example, a capital A in the middle, I can say, oh, that's an A, but I want you to write a lowercase a. And then what I do is I'll say, if you write the word correctly, if you spell it correctly, and you write the letters all lowercase, then you get 1 point. And then they'll put like a little tally mark on their circle. And then at the end of our time together, I typically do like 8 to 10 words. And at the end of our time together, then they get class points. We call them soaring points here at the school. And then they get those soaring points added to their class points. And then they get to spend their class points at the end of every week on a Friday. And it's just like, it's just wonderful. I have some, like, the students love this activity. I've never had a student during teacher time look at me and say, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, they like want to stay, you know, they want to stay and do it as long as they can. That one-on-one time is just so valuable and so precious. Now, the hardest part as a teacher is actually finding the time in your day to do this, and finding the time in your day to be deliberate with all of your students. Now, I will say I have a smaller class size, but I teach at a Christian school. So I think that's why I don't teach in a public school setting. I had a friend message me on Instagram the other day. I am very active on Instagram, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, I highly recommend you join the family over there, because I am on YouTube, but I am very active on Instagram, and I kind of give my daily life going, you know, what goes on in my daily teaching life over there. But she reached out to me and she said that she had 32 students in a classroom that fit 20, and she had no aid and was just trying to make it work. So she saw my Insta story the other day when I was posting about reading groups, and she was almost discouraged by it. And you know, I don't want people to feel discouraged by my Insta stories or my videos. I want them to feel encouraged. And so I basically just reached out to her and just said, you know, you gotta find, even if it's 10 minutes a day, if you can get 6 kids in a group for 10 minutes a day, you got to do what works for your class. You can only do what you can do, right? And so my goal in sharing all of these tips for you is just that hopefully, this will hopefully give you some kind of strategy or tip that you can use and apply in your classroom, no matter your class size and no matter your resources. So all of that to say, if you don't have a small group table and you don't have the fancy white dots or whatever, you could totally use whiteboards, and I have whiteboards right here. You could totally do the same thing in a whiteboard, and you can, so we have round tables in class. You could walk around a round table. You don't have to be sitting with the students, and you can say, you know, he takes a word like dog and he stretches, stretch it out, and then dog, and then they can write the word down. You can be walking around that way. So even in a whole group setting, a lot of times what I'll do on the carpet, we have sit spots on the carpet. I have these little spots on the carpet, and I'll say circle, circle, dot, dot, I am sitting on my spot. And so that's their response. I'll call and response. And then they'll sit on their spot, and we'll do an activity where they have a whiteboard, and I basically have this really long pointer that I use, so I can walk around and be looking at their whiteboards or their, you know, response pages that they're using the whiteboard to help them write on. And I can point with my pointer and say, oh, you need to, that P is backwards, you need to flip that P around, or oh no, number 4, this isn't quite correct, let's revisit this. But that long pointer really helps me kind of like see what's going on and point, so I'm not like having to get down, you know, up and down a lot like that on the carpet. But that's another great way for you to walk around and just kind of look and see what they're doing. I am not a teacher, and this is just my preference, I am not a teacher who stands in front of the classroom and lectures. It's just not my style. I feel like I need to be in with the students, seeing what they're doing. Otherwise, I feel like students slip through the cracks, and it takes extra energy, it takes extra work from me. But I feel like at this point in the year, it has totally paid off. My students are exactly where I want them to be. Some are further ahead, and I feel like it takes so much energy. I know the first month or two of school too, and I'm like going on a rant, but the first month or two of school, it feels so hard because you're so exhausted and you're trying to train and retrain, and just train students who maybe are not used to kindergarten or not used to school, or if you're in a different grade level, they're used to one set of expectations and they're coming to your expectations, and it is so exhausting. And that's why self-care and everything is so important. But all of that to say, I feel like coming up with strategies that are going to help you be successful doesn't just help you, it helps your students too. And it gets easier and easier the more consistent you are and the more deliberate you are. So all of that to say, that was a big rant. I don't know. Maybe I was like preaching to somebody there. I don't know. Maybe somebody needed to hear that. But anyways, I just wanted to mention this table and these whiteboard circles. You do not have to have this to be a good teacher, but this was like something I put on my wish list. The table is from Amazon. The whiteboard circles are from Amazon. So I got this little container at Michael's, and it stores the markers and the erasers perfectly. And there's 6 containers, and I typically have 6 students at my desk. So I typically just like I put it here, and then this student passes it. This student takes out a marker and an eraser, passes it to this student, takes out a marker and eraser, and then they just keep going on. And then the last student takes it when we're all done, and then they pass it back around, and it fits right here in this little cubby. The times that I don't use this, I literally sit with my students I don't sit, but they sit, and I use that pointer in a small group setting. So anyways, all that to say, I will go ahead and link everything down below if you're interested. And I want to encourage you. I don't want you to watch this and make you feel like you got to have all these things to be an awesome teacher, because like literally you don't. This is just something that I have, and I feel very, very fortunate. I know how blessed I am, but you don't have to have this to be a great teacher. You don't have to have half the stuff in this room to be a great teacher. The cuteness of your, how cute your classroom is doesn't determine how good of a teacher you are, and I just want to encourage you in that. So I will link everything down below. I'm so excited about this classroom tour series, and if you have any comments or suggestions or tips, I would love to hear them. You can put them down below so that we can start a discussion. I always say the same thing at the end of every video, but if you're new to the channel, you've never heard it before, so I feel like I need to say it. If you are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button, and I hope you found something useful. If you did find something useful in this video, go ahead and hit that like button on the video. Comment down below. Okay, I'm done. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.